Can we talk about what happened in Coolock in North Dublin in recent days, reminiscent, of course, of what happened in November during the Dublin riots? The rise of the extreme right-wing sentiment, that's grown over the period that you have been in office. When did you first spot it or become aware of it or think that this might be a problem?
I'm not sure exactly when. Certainly a couple of years ago. It has always been there. It manifests itself now in different ways. I always knew it was going to come. Ireland is a normal European country, and almost every country in the European Union has experienced high levels of migration. Big increases in the number of asylum seekers in recent years. We're not unique in any way. In fact, we're just one of the last to experience it. Up until recent years, the number of asylum seekers coming to Ireland would have been well below the European average. It's only now hitting or exceeding the European average in the last 2 or 3 years. And we've seen across Europe and across the world, the Western world anyway, that when that happens, there is a backlash. We did our best to plan for it, but it's not something that's easily preventable. It is something that has to be managed. But I do believe it's a phase that the Western world is going through. There are a lot of people who either struggle to understand or oppose or can't cope with the way the world is changing, economically, demographically, becoming more globalised, becoming more interconnected, and there's going to be a backlash against that. But the future isn't theirs.
But if housing was in a better place, that sentiment mightn't be expressed as freely, do you think?
Not necessarily. So what we see where there's a backlash against migration around the world, whatever the problem is, gets blamed on the migrants. So, in Ireland, one of our biggest problems is, of course, the housing shortage. So the migrants get the blame. In other countries, it's crime. In other countries where there's high levels of unemployment, the migrants are taking our jobs. Even in Greece, where there were forest fires, that was blamed on the migrants. So you see, go back in history, the plague was blamed on Jewish people and on migrants. So you see, throughout history, people blaming the other.
Yeah.
The people who don't look like me, don't behave like me, don't speak like me, they must be the cause of all my problems. Okay. And we have to call it out for what it is. That's not to say that people don't have genuine concerns. When the population increases dramatically, it puts pressure on services. But blaming, migrants are people who look different, behave different for all my problems or the country's problems, that's not right and not based in fact.
There's a report